Thank you for joining me. And yes, President Trump's State of the Union address was the best ever publicly delivered by any president going back to Woodrow Wilson. It was absolutely amazing. You know, when at the very beginning of the speech, you saw a lot of tension, and you saw the row after row of those Democratic congresswomen dressed in their Mao Zedong white outfits. I don't know what the heck that was supposed to be all about. Scowling and, you know, the usual hatred that would emanate from that, that particular political faith. And by the end, they were cheering him lustily. They couldn't help it. He played the thing brilliantly. He brought up the fact that under his administration, more women had found employment than any in American history, which of course, you could say the commentators, I'm sure, are saying, well, he doesn't deserve credit for that. Well, the fact is that every president, Democrat or Republican, takes credit for anything good that happens in their tenure. And in this case, he was taking credit in a very conventional way. I would also add that he does have a lot to do with it because of his economic policies. And they started cheering lustily and clapping. And then he swept his hand across to acknowledge them. And he said, and there were more women in Congress today than at any time in American history. And they cheered some more. It was amazing. They couldn't help themselves. But by the end of the speech, it was the real pay dirt, because he delivered a closing oration that I think was the finest any president has delivered since John F. Kennedy was inaugurated. And he delivered that famous speech, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." And it was essentially a very similar message. He wrapped up all of his agenda in those final remarks in a way that was clear and emotional. For me, it sent chills. But I think that everybody there, they showed the faces, even of those hardcore left-wing congresswomen, and they looked moved as well. It was an amazing performance, and it was filled with substance, and he got into some very tough issues that you would expect people to scowl over, and they did somewhat, but in a muted way. But he did it in a way that was well crafted and presented as such that I think the American people are going to be on board with much of his very simple and common sense agenda of securing the southern border. So I think this is going to be very interesting to watch how this plays out. But either way, I think this is going to go down in history as one of the greatest State of the Union addresses. And I think that it very well could turn the tide in terms of putting in place the demented and irrational Trump haters. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.